Yet the stories within sports and out of sports continue every day. Every day you've got investigative pieces, investigative journalists who are finding stuff out. Yesterday, buried within the Kawhi Leonard situation, buried within what happened off the field to Charlie Kirk, was a story that came out in The Athletic about the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers off the field are a complete mess, and the timing could not be both better and worse. Better in that the story got buried in everything else that happened yesterday. But don't despair, Athletic. Make sure you're a subscriber. Don't despair, because we're going to give it oxygen right now. The Detroit Tigers seem to foment a experience for women that is less than pleasant. They seem to permit an environment where sexism, where inappropriate behavior is not the exception, it's the norm. The Athletic did an investigation which has found that at least 8 men employed by the Tigers, including their broadcast arm or their parent company, at least 8 have been accused of misconduct toward women since 2023. 8. 7 of the 8 were accused of mistreating women were employed by what's called Ilitch Sports and Entertainment. Let me explain what Ilitch Sports and Entertainment is. It's a holding company like Fenway Sports Group. It's owned by Mike Ilitch, who died, left his son, Christopher Ilitch, in charge, and they run not just the Detroit Tigers, they also own and run the Detroit Red Wings. They own and run Comerica Park. They own and run Little Caesars Arena. They own and run several other entertainment entities. Think about Jimmy Dolan and Cablevision. Think about Fenway Sports Group. Think about Ilitch Sports and Enterprises. That is the way rich people get richer. You buy more stuff, and then you do basic economies of scale. You don't have a sales team for the Red Wings and a sales team for the Tigers. You do a sales team for both. It lets you fire half. Marketing, PR. You can pretend that you are not doing it, but that is exactly what you do, because that makes business sense. So when I tell you that employees of Ilitch Sports and Entertainment are having a problem with women, what I'm telling you is employees of the Tigers and MLB is going to be interested in this topic, because they have to be. When you are trying to build your demographics, to evolve your demographics, to be both younger and to be women, you cannot have the same old clubhouse atmosphere that was so common back in the days when I started in baseball. It wasn't just about fart jokes. I've told you that I built Marlins Park. It didn't occur to me to have a female umpire's room or a female coaching staff area. Didn't even occur to me. How wrong I was. How short-sighted I was. Pretty amazing to do something that becomes old so quickly. Well, the problem in Detroit is that you've got men who are resigning, men who are being accused, including people in the baseball operations department. And their answer is the most simple, pathetic answer that you'll hear. What do companies do when they see that they're caught, when they see that they have had this environment of maliciousness? What do? It's sort of simple. You basically give a statement, and the statement is always a good one because it's always the same thing. Tell me if you've heard this before. We are committed to a culture of respect, safety, and inclusion. We do not tolerate discrimination or harassment, and when concerns are raised, we investigate promptly and take decisive action, which has included terminating employees for misconduct regardless of seniority or tenure. We are committed to accountability and to upholding the standards essential to our workplace. Hell yeah. That seems to be the most obvious statement that you could make. So the president and CEO of Ilitch Sports and Entertainment, when asked about the Athletics report, said it was a gross mischaracterization of the culture here. What the Athletic found were things that we already knew and had already resolved. Can you imagine that that's the answer from your president and CEO? If I am the owner of Illit Sports and Enterprises and I'm trying like heck to maybe have someone respect us as an organization, especially with the fact that we're sort of having a good year with the Tigers for the first time. We could win the division. The rebuild's over. We got a chance in the playoffs. And now people are talking about this. And my president and CEO, I cannot believe, is coming out to say, hey, we knew that. Hey, the Athletic, that wasn't fair. We've got a way better culture than that. Boy, that's great. Don't you think a better comment from the CEO of Illit Sports Entertainment would have been a little better off by saying, we are mortified that anyone in this company felt unsafe or felt harassed. It is inexcusable, to say the least, that we either had knowledge or should have had knowledge that there were people who didn't feel secure when they came to work. Now, don't bring up the fact that the Tigers are one of 3 teams without paid maternity leave. Don't bring that up. Don't bring up some past stuff with Little Caesars. Let's not do that. Don't do that. Let's just talk about today. Let's be able to move forward with peace, harmony, and love, and maybe a tiny bit of justice. MLB will see this investigation, and they will have no choice but to act. It's not enough that Illich is saying we knew and we took care of it. It is an absolute embarrassment to baseball to have a front office like this, and we've seen it in front offices with other teams, and it's created sales like, hey, the Suns, Sarver, sell. Hey, Mark Cuban, you may say you didn't know. That's interesting. Your whole environment was not that great. Baseball will act here. They will have no choice but to act here. And when they act, they're going to act swiftly because they need to let it be known to sponsors, broadcasters, partners, fans, that mistreatment of women is simply not going to be tolerated. It goes beyond just front office people. A person I traded for, Cameron Maben, got caught up in this. He was a broadcaster for the Tigers who did inappropriate things, sent inappropriate text messages, and was taken off Tigers broadcasts. These things are going to all be reinvestigated and brought up again. When you get sued by former employees over age discrimination, over sex discrimination, at some point you have to look at who's in charge. And if you're baseball, you have to say, this is not exactly good for our game. Will it cause a suspension of Christopher Illich? Will it cause the Tigers to be forced to sell? MLB will not go to that option because the owners will not support that option, because once you go for one, you come for all. There are certain things that owners will put up with and certain things owners will not. In this case, the necessary punishment will simply be a punishment, not an elimination. But when you go and read what the Athletic did in more detail than I've given you, you will see that there will be no choice but for the commissioner of baseball to stand up and do something.